In my last video, I talked about all the books that I thought were a little overhyped or a little overrated that just did not hit me the way it hit other people. So in today's video, I'm going to do the opposite. I have about 10 books that I want to talk about that I think are underrated or underhyped. Hello everyone, I'm Rhonda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're brand new. So I was going through my bookshelves and I came across 10 books that I wanted to talk about today. And these are books I feel like just don't get the recognition or the love that they deserve. And I have a couple of mystery thrillers, I have a couple of contemporary romances. I also have a few women's fiction or contemporary fiction books. And then finally, I have a couple of lit fic. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this and get started. So real quick with these books, if you've watched my videos before, or especially some of my recent videos, you've probably heard me rave about these books before, and there is a reason. These are very good books and people are still not reading them. So I really want to give them all the love that I think that they deserve, and hopefully you will find a new favorite in this little stack of books. Let's start with the two mystery thrillers I have. The first one is a cozy mystery and it came out back in May, and I don't have a physical copy of it because it came out on hardback and I'm waiting for it to come out on paperback in order to get my copy. But that one is The Retirement Plan by Sue Hinsbergs, and oh my goodness, I love this book. I gave it 4 stars. This one was featured in my summer recommendations for mystery thriller books, and this is just a fun, good time. This is about a group of retirement-aged women. They're in their 60s. However, they are not retired. They are having to get back into the workforce because their husbands have swindled or lost all of their retirement money in a really bad investment, so they are pissed off. Also, they are not happy in their marriages. They don't feel like they love their husbands like they used to, and they are just very unhappy in those marriages. Well, one day, one of the husbands in this friend group passes away, and come to find out, he had a $1 million insurance policy. So his wife has now inherited that money, and she is an instant millionaire. She plans to retire to Florida. She's going to buy a condo, and at her husband's funeral, she is just clicking her heels happy and just laughing and having a grand old time at this funeral. Well, her friends see this and they're a little bit jealous because come to find out, their husbands have the same insurance policy. So they want that money too, and they decide, because their husbands lost all this money and they're so unhappy in their marriages and so out of love with their husbands, they're going to hire a hitman to kill their husbands. What they don't know is their husbands are up to something as well. So this one is just a chaotic and ridiculous book, but it's so entertaining. It's definitely kind of a cozy mystery. It has a lot of dark humor. These are just a group of 60+ women who don't know what they're doing. They are from the suburbs. They don't hire hitmans. They don't know how to do this or what the rules are when it comes to this. It reminded me a lot of Horrible Bosses if the men were older women and killing their husbands. So it was just very much a bunch of bumbling antics, and I was cackling throughout this book. If you have not read this one, please do. It's perfect for the summertime, and it's one of my favorite summer mysteries right now. And then on Goodreads, this book has a 3.78 average rating with 2,500 ratings, and I think that is on the low side, not only with the average rating, but also with the number of people rating it. I don't think a lot of people are reading this. It did just come out last month, so hopefully that number will get up there and this book will reach more people. I just think it's a fun book, and I hope you guys give it a chance. The last mystery thriller I want to talk about, and I'm actually really upset with myself because I should have included this with my summer rec video and I completely forgot to do that, but it is The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jean. Emiko Jean is actually a YA author, and this is her first adult mystery thriller, and she did an excellent job. This was a 4-star read for me, and if you're looking for a shorter thriller that you can just take with you on vacation, then this is going to be it, because it's not only short, but it's bingeable. I could not put this down. I wanted to know what happens next. But in this one, we're following 2 POVs. Well, the first one is Ellie Black. When, I want to say she was 16, but when she was 16, she was abducted. But 2 years later, she does return, and she does not talk about where she was, who she was with, who took her, or anything. She will not talk about it. And then the second POV is Detective Chelsea Calhoun, and she is personally invested in this case because I believe when Ellie was abducted. That was her very first case as a detective, or maybe it was her first day on the force. I don't remember. And then also her sister passed away, I want to say like 10 or 20 years ago, and she thinks that maybe there's some connection between her sister's case and the case of Ellie Black. And so because of those reasons, she really wants to find out what happened. She's trying to get Ellie Black to talk. This was so twisty. It was so good. The writing was incredible. Again, this is a book I did not want to put down, and there's a plot twist in here that I did not see coming. It came out of left field, and I was stunned when I read it. And not a lot of thrillers or mysteries do that. Usually I can eventually get there and figure it out. That was not the case with this one, and I loved it and could not put it down. So I would actually recommend this one too if you're looking for a good summer thriller. On Goodreads, this has a 3.99 average rating, and then there are 81,000 ratings, which is respectable, but this is a book that I just don't hear a ton of people talking about. It came out, I want to say, March of last year, and I think more people need to read it. Moving on to the contemporary romances, the first one I want to talk about is Hate Mail by Donna Marchetti. I loved this book. It was such a fun read. I gave this one 4 stars, and on Goodreads it has an average rating of 3.89 with 43,000 ratings, which is okay. It's not bad. This one came out last year. So this is another one where I don't hear a lot of people talk about. This is another one where I think the average rating is about right for this one. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. But this one is a little bit of an enemies to lovers trope, because this is about 2 people who, when they were kids, they were assigned to be pen pals with each other in their 5th grade class, and they lived at opposite sides of the country. So when our female main character, Naomi, writes to Luca for the first time, she's writing this really sweet letter, and then he is, you know, a 10, 11-year-old boy, and he's just a grumpy boy, and so he ends up writing her this really insulting, nasty letter. And so when she gets it, she's like, that's not cool. And so she tries to out insult him in her next letter, and that goes on into adulthood. They are still writing to each other, but 2 years prior, Naomi stopped getting letters from Luca, and she wants to know what happened to him. Naomi and Luca have never met. They aren't on social media. They are not friends on social media. So she's trying to locate him to find out what happened to him and why he stopped writing her. This was just another book where I was just laughing throughout it, because you were getting snippets of some of these letters that they're writing to each other, and they are hilarious. They are definitely trying to out insult each other. But there's also some depth to this, because there is a reason why Luca, and especially Luca, is originally writing these nasty letters to her, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, the letters are mean, but they're also funny, so the meanness didn't bother me because they're kids. And is this book predictable? Yes, it is. It is a very predictable romance. I did not care. It was very entertaining. It was a sweet romance. And again, I just love the letter writing. And this is another book that I don't hear a ton of people talk about, and I think more people need to read it because I think they would actually enjoy it. The last contemporary romance I want to talk about is Sunday Morning by Jewel E. And I actually just read this a couple of months ago, and this was a surprise 5-star read for me. This is a little bit of a forbidden romance. It is a small town romance. It reminded me a little bit of A Star is Born, but in this one you're following Sarah, and she is the oldest daughter of 3 in this small town where her father is actually the preacher in the community church. And so obviously she is expected to be a good girl and do the right thing and do what's expected of her. And she is dating this one guy, and you know, there's no love there. Both of them are just together because it's expected. But one day her boyfriend's older brother comes back to town after getting out of the army, and she is instantly attracted to him. So this one is definitely a forbidden romance. This one is boyfriend's older brother. And is there cheating? There's not physical cheating in this. I don't remember. Regardless if it's emotional or physical cheating, it's never okay. But I was able to read it and be okay with it just because of her relationship with her boyfriend. But with Sarah, she does not want to settle down in the small town. She has big dreams. She wants to be a songwriter. She wants to move to Nashville and chase her dreams. And so that is what this book is about. This is a book that had me sighing, it had me crying, it had me laughing, and I was really rooting for these 2 characters. And it's just a book that I could not put down. I think I read it within a day. It was so good. This is part of a 3-book series. I tried reading the second book, The Apple Tree, and did not like that forbidden romance at all, so I DNF'd it. And then the third book, featuring the younger sister, just came out, I want to say at the end of May or the beginning of this month, and I think the boyfriend from this book makes an appearance in that one. So I do definitely want to get my hands on that one and give it a chance. But this was a good 5-star book. On Goodreads, this one has a 4.2 rating with 11,235 ratings. So it's definitely a book that more people need to read, I think. I don't typically like forbidden romances. This one definitely toes the line of what I'm comfortable with because I do not like spice in my books. This one is pretty spicy, but the scenes were written so well that I was able to read them and enjoy them. So definitely get your hands on this if you haven't already. It is on Kindle Unlimited. All right, moving on to my contemporary fiction / women fiction books. I have 3 of them. The first one I want to talk about is a book I've talked about before, but I'm going to do it again because it is that good. And that is The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. This one is a book with magical realism. It's definitely more of a women's fiction with a side plot of a romance. And this was just a wholesome book. This is about Lolly, who is on the cusp, I think, of turning 30, and she comes across an old journal from when she was a teenager, and in that journal she had a list of goals that she wanted to do by the time she turned 30. And as she's reading this, she realizes she hasn't done any of it, and so she's talking to her aunt one day and telling her how bummed out she is that she really hasn't accomplished anything in her life and she has regrets. Well, as a birthday gift, her aunt gives her 3 magic lemon drops and tells her before she goes to bed, eat 1 lemon drop and say out loud what she wishes was different in her life. And once she does that, she'll get to live 24 hours with that change. And so she does it 3 times in this book. So this book is about Lolly and her experiencing those changes and what her life could have been and whether or not it was for the better or for the worse. And so that is what this one is about. And this was just a sweet and wholesome book. I did have a little bit of trouble getting into it. It took about 100 pages for me to get locked into the story, but once I couldn't put it down. I was ugly crying in this book because there is a dead mom. Anytime there's a dead mom, I'm going to cry. I am a book crier. But this was just a really good book, and I have not heard a lot of people talking about it. So on Goodreads, this has a 4.01 average rating with 13,300 ratings. And this was just a really good book, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, and I think it is severely underhyped. Next up is Nice Work, Nor November by Julia London. Julia London is actually a historical romance writer, and I've actually read some of her historical romances before and have enjoyed them. So this one is her first adult contemporary fiction, and I think she did a great job. I think I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads, and on Goodreads it has a 3.79 rating with only 1,572 ratings, which I think is shocking. This was actually a really good book. This is about Nora November, who has an accident and she almost dies. Well, when she recovers, she realizes that life is too short, and she makes a reverse bucket list of things that she wants to accomplish after she almost died. So throughout this book, she is trying to accomplish different things that she's always wanted to do in her lifetime, and I just thought it was a sweet book. This one talks about mental health, and I think it covers it very, very well. And then with the little reverse bucket list, as she's trying to change her life for the better and accomplish these things, she does not always have positive results. Sometimes it is a bit of a disaster, and I found it humorous at times. So this was another book that was deep and profound, but I also had moments where I was laughing. So if you're looking for a women's fiction book where it tackles mental health but also does things in a humorous way, then this is a good one for you. The last contemporary fiction book that I want to talk about is Expiration Dates by Rebecca Serrell. This one is a book that has magical realism. There is also a little bit of a romance, and I really enjoy this. This one has kind of a low rating on Goodreads, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. It's a 3.6 average rating with 108,000 reviews. So I think this is a book that is underrated. I feel like that rating should be a little bit higher. And this is another book that, even though there's quite a few ratings on Goodreads, I don't hear a ton of people talking about. And I think this is a good one to read in the spring and summertime. I mean, look at the cover. It's got this pretty pink cover. But this book is about Daphne, and anytime she starts dating a guy, she receives a slip of paper that tells her how long she's going to be dating him. Well, one day she gets a slip of paper and it is blank. and she's trying to figure out what that means. This is another book that is not that lighthearted. It was a little bit deep for me, and it's another book that I cried in. Surprise, surprise. I actually read this whenever Hurricane Beryl came through, and we didn't have power, so all I could do was read, and this was one of the books that I read like in one sitting. This one is also on the short side. It's under 300 pages, but my goodness, it was so good. I was crying. I thought the romance in here was good, and I thought how it covered some topics in this book was done very well. And because this is a Rebecca Serrell book, you know you're going to have great writing. I've read 3 of her books, and this is one of my favorites. I think it was just done so well, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I think the 3.6 average rating really does not do this book justice. So if you're looking for a shorter contemporary fiction book that has a side plot of romance that might be a hidden gem, then definitely grab this one. I personally really enjoyed it. The last 2 books I want to talk about are literary fiction, and I do not read a ton of literary fiction. I feel like lit fic makes me feel stupid. The writing is always above my head, or I don't relate to the characters, so I don't enjoy them all the time. But I have read 2 this year so far that were 5 stars for me, and one of them is actually my #1 favorite book of 2025 so far, and that is The Bright Years by Sarah DeMoth. This one came out in April, and it has a 4.29 rating on Goodreads, which I think is good for this book. However, it only has 11,200 ratings, and I think more people should read this one because it is so good. So in this book, you are following Ryan and Lillian Bright. You're following them as they meet and fall in love and get married and start a family. But with these 2, you're starting to see some cracks form in their marriage because they're both keeping a secret from each other. And I'm not giving away by saying what it is because it is on the flap. But with Lillian, the secret she's keeping is before she met Ryan, she got pregnant and gave the baby up for adoption. And then with Ryan, he is actually a closet alcoholic, and Lillian has no clue. So this book is told through 3 POVs. You get the first third through one POV, then the second third of the book through another POV, and then the last third of the book through a final POV. And the writing in this book is like nothing I've read before. It's not Addie LaRue beautiful writing. It's just every word has a purpose, and I just got lost in this book. This one is a shorter book. It's under 300 pages, but it does pack a punch. This is not a light read. I was ugly crying through the majority of this book. There is also a little bit of a plot twist that I did not see coming that absolutely gutted me. So if you are looking for something more emotional that is going to tackle serious topics like giving a baby up for adoption and alcoholism and marriage and how those affect marriages, then definitely give this a chance. And with only 11,000 ratings on Goodreads, I think more people need to get their hands on this book and give it a chance. It was so well done. Amazing. And again, this is my #1 book of 2025 so far. So I will never steer you wrong. Read this book. The last book I want to talk about is a book that came out 2 years ago, but I just read it this year, and that is Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. And let's take a moment and look how beautiful this cover is. I love the minimalism of the cover. So with this one, this has an average rating of 3.94 with 41,500 ratings, and it came out in 2023. But this is another book that I have not heard a lot of people talk about. Maybe when it first came out, a lot of people were raving about it and it was in the book universe, and I just never heard about it until now. But this was incredible. I heard about this through Hallie Barber on her channel, and she was raving about how this is one of her most favorite books. And I read the synopsis and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I ended up picking it up, and I read it a few months ago and really enjoyed it. So this one is about Adelaide. She is an American living in England, and she meets this guy named Ryan, and she thinks they were fated to be together and that he is the one. And the problem is Ryan is not always there for her. Yeah, they're dating, but he doesn't always answer her texts. They'll make plans together and he doesn't always show up. He's the type of guy where he has one foot in the relationship and one foot out. And so she's trying to navigate this relationship with him, trying to figure out what's going on, and trying to force him to love her. And I wish this book was around when I was in my 20s because I saw a lot of myself in Adelaide. And this is another book that packed a punch. I did cry in this one, not as much as The Bright Years, but I really felt for Adelaide. I thought the writing was incredible. I thought Adelaide was very relatable, especially to me. And I wish this book was around when I was in my 20s because it would have helped me. And then finally, there is so much depth to this book because it also covers mental health and dealing with it not only in yourself, but with your family. And then also in the beginning of the book, the author does leave a note for the readers, and she mentions that she did pull from her own real life experiences. So this book is going to be somewhat autobiographical, but this is another one that I have not heard a ton of people talk about, and I think everyone should give it a chance if you do enjoy lit fic books. Okay, my friends, these are all the books that I feel like are underhyped or underrated, and these are all books I think everyone should really give a chance to, especially if it gets you out of your comfort zone. These are all very well done, and they're different genres, so there's something for everyone. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments which ones, and if you agree with some of my reviews, or let me know what your hidden gems are. Are there any books that you feel like you don't hear people talking about that you think more people should read? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.